Hello, this is Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 44. I'm here tonight today we're recording earlier than usual. I'm here with Alexis Schlegel.
What's up, man?
Hey.
What's happening?
And I'm here with Timothy Davis.
Yo.
So, Tim, you're from Philly or New Jersey? Which one is it?
I live in Jersey. I'm right outside of Philly, 5 miles.
So, I mean, that's cool, man. Let's just talk about how we met. Let's just do a recap for everybody, dude.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So, we met at, Porkfest, was it 12?
I think it was 12. I remember you were looking for a ride on Facebook, and I messaged you, and then, and you were up there a few days after me, and, yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember hanging out with you a bunch that year. Well, actually, every year I went there. We've hung out a bunch.
Yeah, this will be the 4th.
Yeah, man. And so you came to Baltimore this weekend to go see a band called Wisdom in Chains.
Yeah.
And you hit me up and you're like, oh, I'm going to be in Baltimore in February to go to the show. And, I was like, okay, cool. I'll just go to a show with Tim. I'd never heard the band before. And then the other day I listened to a minute of a song or something on YouTube. But then I was at the show last night and it turned out to be really fucking awesome. So I'm a Wisdom in Chains fan now.
Awesome.
Picked up their latest record and they were just amazing. It's like every song that they played by the second chorus, I already knew the words and I was singing along.
All sing-alongs.
Yeah, and the audience was awesome. It was just total fun, man. It was up there with, I'd say it's probably my top 10 favorite shows.
That's awesome, man.
It was really cool, man. It was fun hanging out last night.
It was really cool to come to a new place, come down to Baltimore and check out a hardcore show and see a show somewhere different, see how the people dance and respond. A lot of it's the same.
Smoke bowls in the car between bands.
Yeah, that's usual.
And then Alexis was there too, Alexis Schlegel.
Yeah, I was there. I haven't seen him in a while, but that was an awesome show.
Yeah,
They never disappoint.
You were getting pretty into it, dude.
Yeah, I mean, they're great sing-alongs.
Did you have a partial chub?
Slightly.
Okay, cool.
At times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that was amazing, man. I've been to many a good show at the Sidebar, and last night was up there with the best of them.
It was cool. I didn't expect it to be that small of a little club. It was kind of reminded me of J.C. Dobbs in Philly, if you guys ever heard of that place. Whatever. But yeah, it was cool. I thought it was going to be at somewhat of a bigger place, a bigger venue, and that was like a real hardcore show. Just in a little dive bar, everyone just singing along, having a great time.
Yeah, man. It's like when I think about shows. I mean, have you been to the 930 Club?
Nah, I heard of it, but I've never been there.
Yeah, well, in the Baltimore, D.C. area, 930 Club's in D.C., and it's one of the bigger venues, for underground bands to play. So I think it might hold a couple thousand people if I had to guesstimate. So, but to me, that's too big of a show.
Yeah.
I'll go to see bands at the 930 Club because some bands, that's the best venue you're going to see them.
Yeah.
But I like to go to shows at smaller venues, like the Sidebar. It's fucking awesome. Those are the shows I grew up with. And it's just always more personal when you can see the band in a small room.
Yeah, you're right there.
Where everybody's right there,
Yep.
And I mean, it's just fucking awesome. It's that's punk rock.
Exactly. Yeah, good times, man. Good times.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah, the place was packed. We were right up front there. Amps were almost falling over on us.
They were
Many
wobbling
times.
around all night.
The entire time people were half knocking. The PA speakers were wobbling from people getting thrown into them.
Yeah. Yeah, stage is real tiny.
It was mind blowing. It's one of those shows where you feel lucky to just be there and be a part of that night, part of that experience.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, thinking, man, you got to come down from Philly for more stuff like this, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Back down soon, man. We'll check it out, see when some more shows are coming up. And
so, yeah, definitely, man. We should do this more often. And then, just hanging out last night with you, I mean, it was a blast. And it just got me thinking about because both of us are highly interested in the Free State Project. And, at some point, if situations permit, both of us would like to move to New Hampshire.
yeah.
And it just got me thinking about just how cool it would be to, live in New Hampshire around like a bunch of libertarians,
Be in a
hanging
community like that.
out, doing
where,
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely, at some point, I'm going to go. I mean, I signed the pledge. They just hit the 20,000 participants or 20,000 people pledging to go. And I see lots of great things happening there. Every time I go there, the community is just incredible. I love it. I love the idea of the whole thing. So I'm ready to go now. I hope the stars all align at some point soon. But I'm going to do it.
That's one thing too about the pledge. It's like, what is the pledge exactly? Is it like, what is it exactly? What are you saying when you sign it? Do you know?
You're saying that once 20,000 people agree to move, everybody has 5 years to figure it out and get there. And once you get there, just actively work towards liberty.
Because it's funny because at the last Pork Fest, like I signed the pledge. But it's like the lady who was going around trying to get signatures for people to pledge. She was saying like, well, I mean, you don't really have to move. It's just pledging that you'll think about moving or something.
Yeah.
It was basically like, it seemed like she was like more interested in getting a signature than getting like a legitimate mover. And it's like, and I don't want to sign anything without being 100% certain that I can,
that you can do it.
That I
you
can
can
live up to that
actually.
commitment. Yeah. But it's just like the way that she put it. It's like, oh, you don't have to be. So
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, yeah.
Well, people get excited,
so I
they
signed
want
it.
to trigger it.
I am a signer, and I want to move there, and like I think it's fucking awesome.
Did you read the small print? You just signed it.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, man.
Yeah, I think this was the first year I did too, and I got the welcome package in the mail. So
Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, but I think it was like 5 years. Like, I don't know. I think that was it. That was the only thing I considered moving within 5 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely would be pretty awesome being surrounded by like-minded people.
Yeah, definitely. What they already have going on there is pretty awesome. I mean, the goal is 20,000 people, but I think a couple thousand people have moved there so far, and they're doing pretty big things. I mean, the last election go around, 12 Free Staters got elected to the state house, and that's just the last go around. I mean, this has been happening, and that doesn't happen in other states. How many libertarians are getting elected here in Maryland? Probably about as many as in Jersey, where I'm from.
Yeah, 0.
So, but besides that, you got that group of people that is working towards the political side of things, and then you have the people who don't want anything to do with the politics, that are starting their own businesses through agorism and doing things like that. So you have two different factions of people there, and there's all kinds of ways to work around the system or work towards making the system smaller. I appreciate all of it, and if they get, I think right now I just heard that there's an average of like 20 or 30 people moving there every month. So I mean, that's pretty big.
Yeah, it's badass, dude.
Yeah.
And yesterday you were telling me, you were describing to me what sounded to be like a Free State farmers market.
Yeah, I know they put together some kind of community market day, and some of the different people like grow food and stuff like that. They'll bring that down there
once a week or once a month, once a year, or how often do they do it?
I think they do it a lot more when it gets to the summertime.
Well, yeah.
But I think maybe once or twice a month, maybe something like that.
It'd be cool to have something like that, like once a week. But yeah, I mean, it sounds really cool because it's like, you got all these Liberty people moving to New Hampshire, and you've got different people doing different things, and then you're trying to basically build at least a lot of people are going there trying to build a society that's like, able to be like, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess like self-sufficient, Yeah. So you've got all these people making different things, and you can buy, sell, and trade with each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's pretty fucking big.
It's huge, man.
It's like, how would a libertarian society work? There you go.
Well, one thing that I think sucks about the whole thing is that, and not about the Free State Project, but just like the people there with the loudest mouths, like you see a lot of the Keene activism and stuff like that, and people think that the whole thing is like that everyone moving there is gonna do activism the way like the Robin Hooding and the cop blocking and stuff like that. But there's there's so many different things going on all at the same time. I just think sometimes the people with the loudest mouths are, the only ones being heard, I guess you would say. I guess I'm just trying to say that there's so much more than just that, and there's people doing all kinds of things there.
Yeah, and and I know both of us are still fans of like Robin Hooding, and we're both fans of cop blocking.
Absolutely.
But it is a shame how like sometimes it's. We were talking about this last night, and we're not going to throw any names out there because we're not trying to be dicks or whatever. But yeah, sometimes
I might throw a few out there. I don't care.
Well, sometimes it seems like some of the quote unquote celebritarians are just come off as like a-holes. And then,
they are.
Like for a second there, it makes me think like. I mean, it makes me think like I don't know. It's kind of a turn off, like away from like libertarianism sometimes when you think about it for a second.
Yeah.
And then I think, well, no, this is there's going to be assholes in any group.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, but I just people don't see that there's a million just regular people just like us, or different than us, but just like us at the same time, and they're not all over begging for donations and trying to do trying to be like a shock jock type person, but they're the loudest mouths. They get heard the most, so sometimes things get a bad name.
Yeah, like I mean, I will throw one name out there because it's like Christopher Cantwell. He comes up a bit, and it's I mean it's I don't know, man. It seems like recently it's less of the time I like him, but maybe even 25% of the time.
Yeah.
It's like I saw this video the other day he put together. It was like a Black History video, and then he just finds this black lady who has like 15 like illegitimate kids, and she's like living off the state.
Yeah.
And she wants more money from the state. The state is not doing enough, and it's just like, dude, what the fuck is your point, Chris? I mean,
he's a shock jock. That's
dude,
what that is.
You can easily do just as much research, and you can find some white person being just as much of an asshole doing the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, what is your point, Chris? It's literally you're just trying to piss people off.
Yeah, he's trying to piss people
what are you
off,
just trying
make
to
people
like
laugh.
legitimize racism? I mean, what does this have to do with being a libertarian? How is this going to get how is this going to get us a larger audience?
Yeah. Well, he cares about himself getting a larger audience, and he cares about the hits that he gets, and that's why he does. He's a very smart guy. Like obviously, anyone who's ever read anything that he's written, or he's obviously very smart, so he knows exactly what he's doing. He's just
with me doing Punk Rock Libertarians and now the Daily Liberator. I mean, I got to say, I care about hits too, and that was the main reason for changing the website name to the Daily Liberator.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's when it comes down to it, some people don't like punk rock.
Yeah.
Some people see the word libertarian and it's a loaded word, and they've already associated it with some dude on YouTube being a total jackass.
Yeah.
So I picked the name the Daily Liberator, which I thought would appeal to like the far right, the far left, and everybody in between pretty equally. Most people don't have a bad thing to say about liberation.
Yeah.
It sounds cool. It goes along with the message. And, I should hit like a wider demographic of people. It's pretty all-inclusive. I don't think too many people are going to be scared away by that name. So, I mean, why doesn't Chris Cantwell see it that way? He could have a larger audience if, he wasn't such a dick.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think he probably does have a pretty large audience now, though. But
he does,
That's the thing. He's in it for different reasons. I mean,
it's just like he's moving around in that asshole niche of people, Yeah. And it's I don't know. So,
yeah.
Whatever. I mean, ultimately, as long as he's not robbing, stealing from anybody, assaulting anybody, it's. I mean, he can say whatever he wants. I'm not saying that. I'm not encouraging violence against Christopher Cantwell. I just question if what he's doing is what's best for the movement. Not that that's my decision or any one person's decision. People have different ways of going about it, but that's all that I'm saying. That's my point.
Yeah.
And I'm sure other people feel that way too. I know.
But come on, to come out for Trump, it's like.
Yeah, I mean, coming out for Trump, and then you also, conversely, you've got a lot of libertarians coming out for Bernie.
Now, you still listen to Molyneux. Like, I've been hearing things about him, being all about Trump too. Is that true?
It is. I think it's kind of disheartening because I feel like I've seen Molyneux say more positive things about Trump than I've seen him say about Ron Paul, and I would venture to guesstimate that Ron Paul probably brought a lot of Molyneux's audience over to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, so I don't know why these guys have this boner for Trump. It seems, but yeah, and I'm not so sure it's the best thing because most of the normal people that I run into through the course of everyday life, most of those people like hate Trump. They think he's like ridiculous, and then a lot of the people that do like him, I think they're being pretty ridiculous. And it's funny too because like I live in a Democratic state of Maryland, and like I can think of nobody who's all about Hillary.
No.
So
I've been saying that too.
I know a lot of Democrats too, but I mean,
I've seen a few bumper stickers here and there.
And I think with Hillary and Trump, I think a lot of people know that they're ridiculous, but they have like a lot of like silent fans who kind of don't want to put it out there because they know they're both ridiculous.
I try to have this conversation with almost everybody I run into, or just like, start small talk and then I bring up something political or something like that. And I've never met anybody. I live in New Jersey. Like, that's as democratic as you can get. I don't know. I never meet anybody that likes her, but I do run into people that like Trump, which is, which is pretty scary. They appeal to him for, the way he mocks the media and things like that, and which I get to an extent, but it's just like, come on, you listen to the rest of what this guy said. It's like,
so, and you've been in New Jersey for how long now?
well, most of my life. I mean, I was born there. I lived there until I was like 22 or 23, and I moved to Florida for like 10, 11 years, and then moved back a few years ago.
What have you thought about Christie? Just being the governor of your state. Like what have your thoughts been about him throughout the years?
Well, I guess he became governor before I had moved back to Jersey, and I don't know. I don't really think about it too much.
I'm just wondering if you could tell us any stuff that we wouldn't know because we were just following him in the presidential race, and we see him making an ass of himself on the stage. I like how I believe he pardoned Brian Aiken.
I don't even know who that is.
Well, Brian Aiken he moved to New Jersey from someplace else, and he had his guns in his car.
Oh, maybe I did hear about this.
Yeah, and then it's somehow he got pulled over, and he hadn't taken his guns out of his car yet.
Yeah.
And I believe it was something like they weren't loaded or anything. He wasn't going to do anything. Like he's just a normal dude. You know? He's actually a very bright dude. He's written books too.
Was that the story though, where his mom called the cops on him or something? But he was moving like from his mom's house to somewhere else, and then,
well, I think his mom might have called the cops on him because like he was going through a breakup or something.
Yeah.
And I forget all the deets, but
yeah,
it was. I mean, ultimately, the guy was no threat to anybody. He doesn't have a criminal history.
Yeah.
And it's you're moving. How do you transport your guns?
Yeah.
It's I feel like it's really not talked about much, and in some states are a lot harder than others.
Yeah, I'm sure Jersey's probably one of the hardest.
Yeah, I mean, I can just imagine,
because that happened to that single mother in Philadelphia
going into Jersey.
Yeah, she took the wrong exit, ended up on the bridge, got pulled over. Single mother of two. She had a concealed carry in the state of Pennsylvania because I guess I don't know. I think her ex was abusive, so probably had a restraining order. But what's a piece of paper going to do? Mm-hmm. So she had a concealed carry license, and she had her firearm on her, and because she was facing felony charges, and the whole thing came to light even more.
20 years or something.
It was something
crazy.
Fucking insane for a non-violent, just because you had a firearm and you crossed this imaginary border.
A licensed firearm at that.
To carry, and you cross this border. And I think it made a lot of headlines. It made headlines initially, a little bit, not much. But I think it even made more headlines with the whole Ray Rice bullshit. Because basically that prosecutor was going to let Ray Rice off, and that same prosecutor was the one pushing for 20 years for the single mother.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like, dude, there was this whole like kind of like, and I think there was more outrage about that. Like, there's video evidence of this NFL player like assaulting someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's off. But this mother who's, you know, just happened to take the wrong exit and ended up in New Jersey with it. Like,
Yeah.
that's fucked up. Like, she's
Yeah.
facing 20 years. What are her kids gonna do? You know, single mom. Like, it was insane.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, too, you're only going to see more of this because it's
Right.
basically more and more states are cracking down on gun control. And I know in Maryland now, if you want to like legally get a pistol, you have to. What do you have to do, Alex? You have to take like a training course and shit.
Yeah. See, I purchased all of mine when I was still active duty Air Force, so it's technically at Pennsylvania. I don't know really how, like, every time I purchased firearms, like, I used my military ID and my Pennsylvania ID. So basically they're like, oh, you were in the military, you don't have to, you know, fill out these forms, whatever. But I think if you were actually in
essentially,
Maryland,
what I'm getting to right now, there's a whole bunch more bullshit that you got to go through.
right?
And, like I've seen friends get it and post about it on Facebook, and you know they'll post like their handgun ID card or whatever as like some sort of great accomplishment.
Right.
And
You have
what
to
I'm
pay
getting
like
at-
$50 to the state. You have to sit through some
yeah.
course. Like,
and what I'm getting
basically-
at is that, like, as they make this course more of a pain in the dick, more and more people are going to just obtain their guns illegally.
Right.
And it's like, I mean, is that alone really warranting of jail time? You know, because I mean, inevitably,
Well, of course
you know, of course, I don't think so. I don't believe in registration at all. I think it's fucked. I think, you know, if somebody wants to own a gun, you know, it's technically, you know, that's their Second Amendment right. You know, fuck this bullshit. It's
Where do you think the attitude of the people is going, though? Do you think the regular, everyday people are leaning more towards, like, no, we should be able to have our guns, fuck you? Or is it, we need more background checks and, you know, blah, blah, blah? Because I seem to run into a lot of people, even in New Jersey, who really like guns and talk about guns all the time. And it's...
There
you know,
is,
so it
but
makes me
I
wonder.
just hope people don't get accepting of it. Like people are accepting of, oh, well, you got to get a license to drive, you know?
Yeah.
And it's one thing with driver's licenses. You know, I can say that, you know, I know nowadays in Maryland, you have to keep your learner's permit longer. You know, you have to go through, you have to get like people to sign for like X amount of hours. And it's like a ridiculous amount of hours. And it's, I know people all day are just getting like people to just sign off and give them bogus hours, you know? Because nobody's going to drive like, I think it's 60 or 100 hours or whatever.
Who the hell has that much time? Like,
Yeah,
if you're
and-
like a parent.
Yeah, you're a parent.
And
then-
you're working full time. Like, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like exactly. And imagine if you're a grown adult, like you're a single mom with some kids, and then you're trying to get your license. I mean, who are you going to find to be able to drive you around? Then you got to burden one of your friends. And I mean, and ultimately too, it's really I just don't think it's necessary.
Right. No, I agree. Definitely. And then just because you are a licensed driver, I mean, Jesus, look how many idiots you see out on the road, you know? So what's the point, you know? But anyway, kind of went off a little tangent there, but I want to talk a little bit about Iowa and caucus.
So does anybody here feel confident that they can explain like how the Iowa caucus works? Like what's the difference between an Iowa caucus and a normal primary?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Okay.
Well, you're not actually casting votes. You have to go to your, I guess, wherever you caucus. Like,
Well,
your
you cast votes, but you're only casting votes for the delegates. They do a straw vote, and that's what they always report on. But that doesn't actually have anything to do with how they select the delegates. Because if you remember, you know, Rick Santorum won. Ron Paul got all the delegates.
Right.
He came in third.
So,
He
I mean,
got
it seems to
21
me-
out of 24.
It seems to me to be pretty like convoluted and like it seems to be like pretty easily for people to manipulate, you know, for the establishments of both parties to manipulate.
I don't think so, man. I think I actually think the other way with it. I think it gives more of the people who are really serious about their candidates a chance to do it, like a grassroots movement. Because you have to take the time, you have to go look and see what delegates, you know, who they're for, and you have to do a little more. That's why Ron Paul was able to dominate it, because there was 1 million active people.
Yeah.
Now, when you think about the way, you know, regular everyday people act, they're not going to go down there and caucus for somebody and take all their time to vote for Mitt Romney or vote for, Obama. But when you have a bunch of people that are really serious about something, that was why Ron Paul, that was his whole strategy, was to just campaign hard in all the caucus states and all the primary states. He didn't, except for New Hampshire, he campaigned there. But, like Florida, where I was at the time, he didn't even campaign there at all. He just waited for, I guess Nevada was next or something, But all those states, like Maine, that was a caucus state. He won every delegate from that state.
Well, what about Hillary winning, I believe it was 6 coin tosses?
Yeah, I heard about that.
She was 6 for 6, apparently.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Less than 2% chance of legitimately doing that. Hillary Clinton should just retire from politics and play Powerball.
She's got her own version of Powerball, I guess.
Yep.
But did you see that meme that was going around where it was like Bernie Sanders supporters 2016, and it shows Hillary, and it's like they're screaming Hillary cheated, and it's got the Willy Wonka guy, and it's like Ron Paul supporters 2012, and the Willy Wonka guy's just sitting there. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So, and then Rand Paul dropping out. It's I was pretty surprised by that. How about you guys?
It surprised me.
Yeah, I figured he'd do a little bit better in Iowa.
Yeah, me too.
So I thought maybe he had more of a ground game.
Well, I was thinking even after he did place 5th place, but he was still ahead of that fat bitch Christie.
Yeah, Bush.
Yeah, still ahead of Jeb. And that other dude, I forget his name. So he wasn't polling the worst. I figured he would do a little bit more. And then, so as I was thinking, why would Rand drop out so soon? It's the first conclusion that I came to that day when he dropped out was, I wonder if he cut a deal with Ted Cruz.
I think that's a good conclusion.
Because, if you think about it, it's Ted Cruz and Rand seem to be competing for more of the quote-unquote liberty vote. More of the quote-unquote Ron Paul conservatives, the people that supported Ron Paul.
That's what they keep saying, but I don't know. I can't picture anybody that voted for Ron Paul voting for Cruz. I can't picture it. I don't know. Maybe it happens.
I'm not justifying voting for Cruz.
No,
I'm
I know.
not saying that I would vote for Cruz. As a matter of fact, I would say that I wouldn't. And then, now that Rand Paul is out of the Republican primary, I will not be voting in the Republican primary. We were actually talking about this last night as we were bowling it outside of the show.
Yeah.
So excuse me. So a lot of people, we're talking about say right now I'm registered as a Republican. I did so in 2012 to vote for Ron Paul in the Republican primary. I switched my registration from Libertarian to Republican. And I kept it like that because I figured, I'd vote for Rand in 2016. And I figured, there's not much of a point for me to be registered as a libertarian because, it's not like they have a primary. Yeah. And as far as I know, they're not in any danger of being taken off the ballot in Maryland. So, I just stayed as a Republican. And I wish Maryland had an open primary, to where I wouldn't have to be associated with the GOP to support a Liberty candidate. Yeah. But, they don't. So, I just stay registered as a Republican to, play the fucking game. But yeah, now that he's out, I see no point in voting for any of those guys.
That's what I was going to ask. I was like, even if you stay Republican, is there actually anybody Republican that you could vote for?
Well, I don't know. I know Rand and Ted Cruz have worked together in Senate to get some cool things passed. And it's basically they were competing for those votes. So maybe Rand looked at it like, okay, so I'm obviously not going to win this. I really don't want Trump to win this. Maybe if I drop out, most of my votes will go to, or a good chunk of them will go to Ted Cruz, and that'll help at least beat Trump. Yeah. So that's only what I can guess, or maybe Cruz was thinking, look, Rand, you're not going to win. If you drop out here, and if I win, we have a better chance of taking Trump. And maybe Cruz offered Rand a VP slot or something.
Yeah, maybe
some sort of deal.
Like Rand's into that backdoor kind of slimy end of politics, you know.
Well, I think he plays the game that you have to play.
Do you have to play it though?
No, you don't. You could go like his dad did, and I think his dad was more successful at getting the message out, getting people riled up, and really waking people up. And like I was watching like a clip of the Jason Stapleton program after Rand dropped out, and I thought he proved a pretty good point. He brought up the Bible verse where and he said Rand is lukewarm, and basically in the Bible it says God says like, I want you hot or cold. If you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out. And he's just pointing out that Rand has been lukewarm. He hasn't been 100% like ideologically correct like his father. It's like he's trying to bridge that gap between his father and the GOP.
Yeah.
And in the midst of that, he's done some things that we're not happy with.
Yeah, a lot of things.
Yeah. Like I didn't feel. I mean, honestly, I think one by just campaigning as Rand, not like Rand Paul. Also, just like trying to disassociate himself from his father. There was that one meme that was going around, like,
but at the same time, I'm not going to totally rag on that dude because I can tell you, I know some Republicans who are like Ron Paul's fucking crazy, but I like Rand.
I mean, that makes no sense. But anyways,
well, but at the same time, I have faith in Rand just because he was raised by his father.
Right.
He's familiar with, no doubt, like the principles of anarchism, even. All
right, but just listen to what you're saying now. He's his father's son, right?
Yeah.
So he's obviously smart enough to see the momentum that Ron Paul built with the way he was carrying his message.
And to see how the GOP straight up fucking shot him down.
Yes. But he's also smart enough to see that Ted Cruz is no different than Donald Trump. So, with all these deals, I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, I disagree. I think Cruz is different from Donald Trump.
Do you?
Yes.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so in the slightest, man. I watch them.
Honestly, I think they're different. I'm not saying that I would vote for either.
Yeah,
but
I know what
I
you're
think
saying.
they're different.
But do you think Cruz would be the lesser of two evils out of him and Donald?
I think Cruz is going to be horrible as far as some things, obviously.
Dude, he's like that preacher, like that door-to-door salesman you would see, going around selling Bibles.
He definitely caters to, the warmongering religious right.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Christians for carpet bombing.
At the same time, I don't think you can trust anything that Trump says. And then I've also seen Cruz legitimately argue for smaller government, and like I said, I've seen him work together with Rand on some stuff. So I don't think Cruz is altogether 100% bad. Is he worthy of my vote? Fuck no.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
say the same thing about Sanders in a different light. He's worked with Ron Paul on some things too. And,
you could, yeah. And then you could totally say that. It's basically. I do think that there are inevitably differences, and there's things that the only thing that I like about Trump is that the establishment hates him, both the GOP establishment, the mainstream media establishment.
Do they really hate him though? It's like, or is that just all theater, man?
Oh yeah, I think as far as the GOP goes, I don't think Trump has any sort of allegiance whatsoever to the GOP. I think Trump's into politics for Trump.
Yeah, but Trump's one of those
Trump's
people
using the vessel that he knows he has to use to get elected.
Yeah, oh, definitely. But Trump's one of those people that can and has bought so much influence. He's one of those guys that run the GOP anyway. That's why, when
well,
people...
actually, see, I'd beg to differ because in the past it seems like he was running Hillary Clinton more than
yeah, okay, but
he was lining her pockets.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's another thing that blows my mind too. He's got all this history of supporting Democrats, and then coming out on video, saying that he endorses Democratic programs.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden he wants people to believe that he's Mr. Conservative. And
well, he still supports a lot of very liberal policies with healthcare and a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
So those people don't seem to care.
I think I don't want to. I think even Ted Cruz said, he was talking about getting rid of Obamacare and replacing it. why does that have to be replacing it? Why can't you just get rid of the regulations? Why do you have to start a new program?
Yeah.
And it's like government always has to do that. It's once one of these guys has their dick in the peanut butter, whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans, the other party always talks about how bad it is, but then they always want to like replace it instead of just abolishing their influence in that realm whatsoever.
It never shrinks; it only
if
grows.
Cruz really believed in smaller government, well, let's have smaller government before Obama stepped into it, and have even less regulations than that. Because I think there was a problem before Obamacare, no doubt. And I think Obamacare has made that problem worse in that, I'm paying, more than twice as much for health insurance. I'm probably paying about 2.5 times, for health insurance now. And, I know a lot of people that are like that. So, I mean, so Obamacare has only made it worse. And I even said after Obamacare, I said it's almost like Obamacare is designed to just have people begging for single payer. And, like, honestly, like I don't see government scaling back on this. I see Ted Cruz making up his own little thing, which might even make it worse, or maybe it'll make it not as bad as it is now, but it'll still make it worse than it was before Obama got the government involved at all.
Yeah.
But then even before Obama got involved, there's still all sorts of regulations that have jacked up the price of medicine. And, like I have a buddy who's he kind of feels about doctors the same way that I do. And it's basically like, I'll tell you, I don't trust them. Like, I went to doctors for things and I feel like I'm just pushed out. Like they just want to rush like a diagnosis and then get me on some expensive medicine to line and then see the next person, get me on their way. And then meanwhile, I get a huge fucking bill, and that's after having insurance. Like I don't even see what the insurance is really doing. I think I could just pay that bill and they'd make enough money. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the whole thing just makes me so fucking mad.
Yeah. Not to mention, when they could charge whatever they want for it because they know they're going to be able to get, insurance. I mean, regular people don't have to pay for things all themselves. Like, you could charge phenomenal amounts of money for it. Like, it costs $2,000 to get an MRI. I was supposed to get an MRI on my back. And it's like, in a free market, why can't regular people just use an MRI machine? It's, I don't know. It's all crazy shit.
Yeah, well, like my buddy, he's like been trying to figure out what's wrong with him. He's seen doctors and they don't know. And I think now he thinks that it's Lyme's disease.
Yeah.
Right? Because, and it's really tough with this shit because you're Googling all these symptoms and it seems like so many symptoms are symptoms for like 1,000 different things.
Yeah.
And of course the doctors don't want to take the time to figure it out. They just want to fucking get you in and out of there and get their money.
Yeah.
And then so he actually ordered some antibiotics from like Australia.
Yeah.
So he got antibiotics that, if he got them here, he'd probably be paying $200 for them. He got them for $20 from overseas.
Yeah.
And I think or $20 or $30, and then I think the shipping was like $20 to get it rushed. And look at that. Yeah. Look at IP driving up the prices of drugs.
Well, check this out. Like 5-6 years ago, I started to get really, I had really bad stomach problems, and I didn't know what was going on. I was in like horrible pain all the time. I couldn't work. Like I was in really bad shape. I started going to the doctors, and the first doctor I went to told me I had IBS or whatever, and she, prescribed some medicine for me. So I went home and I looked up the medicine, and it had never even been tried in guys before or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck? It was like a woman's medicine. And then I went to see a gastrologist, and then they ran through all these tests, and they wanted me to get like colonoscopy and all this different stuff. But anyway, to make a long story short, I went to like 5 or 6 different doctors. They threw all this medicine at me. I wasn't getting better. So then I went to see a nutritionist, which my insurance didn't cover. And I went and I saw a nutritionist and found out that 2 weeks later I was healthy again. I was just lactose intolerant. That was it. And they're throwing all this stuff at me, talking about I got Crohn's disease and, IBS and blah, 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 blah. And, so.
Yeah, healthcare isn't about health. It's not about, like, it's just about how much, like, in situations like that, you hear about that all the time, where just a simple change of your diet or change in your lifestyle or just something or just natural.
They're interested in giving you the prescriber or prescribing you the prescriber drugs, the designer drugs that'll make the drug companies rich.
Right. Yeah. It's insane. I remember my mom. She worked at a psychiatrist's office, but this was when I was in high school. But I'd come home from school and she would, come home maybe about an hour or two later. She's like, anybody want some sushi? Or, like, hey, I got some hoagies, or we got this or that. Like all these, like, and I was like, where do you get this? She's like, some drug rep came in today, bought the whole office lunch, and just like, like multiple times a week, just coming in like, hey, push this drug. Here you go. Here's sushi for everybody in the office. It's crazy.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah.
I just think it's so great though, like how the internet has gotten ways to like get around that. Get the antibiotics for cheaper, or even the whole dark net. It's made just other sorts of dealings much safer for people.
What was that movie that came out 2 years ago? It had Matthew McConaughey.
Dallas
Buyers Club. Yeah, we watched that.
Yeah, I did see that.
I saw it when it first came out. I saw it like 2 or 3 times. I think I told you about it. But yeah, such a good message. Like, about that.
Yeah, it was
like,
libertarian as fuck, dude.
Yeah, really
for sure.
good movie. So,
yeah, that was good.
Yeah, definitely, really good movie. But yeah. So do you want to talk about, since we were talking about Iowa, the Hillary emails, Matt?
Yeah, so my whole thing is like, you see all these conservatives talking about like, or even all these like articles online, talking about Hillary getting arrested, and Hillary's not going to get arrested. I just want to put this out there.
That'll never happen.
She's been in politics for 40 years. She's no doubt seen some ripe stuff go down.
The first lady.
Yeah, dude, I guarantee you, she has so much dirt on so many people that are high in power. She's not going to go to jail. And if by some reason she did, she'd be taking a lot of people with her, or they would have her killed. It's just not going to happen, dude. She's not going to fucking go to jail. So I just wanted to tell everybody that right now. Does anybody have anything to add to that, or you think I got it?
Did they ever say what the emails actually are? Because really, I don't even pay attention to it. Like, or is it just that she had
it's basically she
classified stuff?
Yeah, she wasn't supposed to be doing this stuff.
She had
on
like
her
a
phone,
personal server.
Yeah.
So, and she was using it for classified information.
Yeah. But it never breaks down. Like, it never like leaks any of the documents or anything like that, right?
Well, yeah, it came out that she's that she was sending some stuff that she shouldn't be able to, that she wasn't supposed to be sending some,
Yeah.
So,
but that's all they tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all that I've seen.
Yeah.
I call it now though. I mean, nothing's going to come out of that. And then, so Tim, you wanted to speak a little bit about Lavoy Finicum. You watched the video?
Yeah, I watched the slowed down video. Well, there's 2 of them now. They showed the original stop, and you could see during the original stop, it's the passenger had his hands out the window. I'm not sure who the passenger actually was, but the truck got shot at, and then that's when he took off or whatever. And they got to the next roadblock or whatever. When they do that slow down, you can see them shoot at the truck before he even got out of the truck. Mm-hmm. So it just makes it it puts everything into place a little more, because when he got out of the truck, there's women in the truck, and he's like, just shoot me. If you're gonna shoot me, just shoot me, and they ended up shooting him like 6 times. And it's been like an emotional thing for me, because I don't live their lifestyle. I'm not all about the Constitution or anything like that, and whatever. But I see all these people from the left just saying these horrible things about violence towards them, and they're terrorists and all these things. And it's been kind of an emotional ride.
Yeah,
watching how the whole
everything
thing goes
that
down.
These guys from the left are saying, you had somebody from the right saying about like Black Lives Matter. Or,
yeah.
And. Yeah, I just feel like if Black Lives Matter and the militia people got together, the unity would be unstoppable. But instead we let the identity politics divide us, and nobody's talking about principle. Besides the libertarians, if you ask me, we're talking about principle. We're talking about the initiation of force is wrong on anybody. We're talking about everybody is an individual. All individuals have the same rights. And that right there, I think that should just be the end of it.
Yeah, it kind of solves it.
Yep.
But,
so, and then, so basically you were telling me last night you were discussing some of this stuff on Facebook, and you had...
Yeah, I've had a few things lately with like family members. That and they know who I am. Well, some of them I haven't seen in 20 years, and they'll see something I post and get very emotional about it. I had a cousin that he blocked me and then posted this big thing on Facebook, and it said basically like, oh, I lost my cousin Timothy Davis because I'm not anti-American and I don't want to participate in his illogical fantasy of bringing the nation down. And it went on to say like, you know, I'm one of those guys you read about in the news, and yeah, I don't know. It was pretty funny, man. And but it's sad that stuff like that happens. It's like I don't want anything from anybody else. Nothing I ever talk about would ever hurt anybody else, you know? And just for someone to think that like I'm like a terrorist or like anti-American, I don't even know what that really means. Like, do you know what that means? Like, what is that? It's like,
yeah, I don't know.
But funny story though. Someone had a meme of how to fold the American flag, and it was like at the bottom, like the last step, there was like 9 steps to it or whatever, and the last step it was like throwing the flag in a trash can. So I liked it on Facebook, and I guess my brother can see what I like or whatever. It pops up in his newsfeed, and he gets like all bent out of shape about it, like really bent out of shape. He comments on my friend's post, and it's just like, oh, it disgusts me that, you know, and he tagged me that Timothy Davis would like a post like this. And then
wow, he like really went out of his way.
Yeah, it was just like, and I'm thinking in my head like, dude, do you not even know me at all? Like, you know, have you not been paying attention for like the last like 20 something years? Like, cause I haven't changed, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but it's just funny.
Yeah, it's so what triggers someone like on Facebook, you know, it's like if you've liked all my other stuff I've been posting, like I'm kind of on the same page, and then one little thing just gets someone so butthurt, and it's like,
well, he went on to comment stuff like, well, if you guys don't like America, you should just leave, and all like the typical stuff that like we hear all the time, you know. And it's hilarious.
Tim, if you don't like America, you could just get out. But
it was kind of funny because to everybody else on the thread, you know, it's just a bunch of anarchists, and it was like fresh meat of like somebody to like jump on, you know.
Somebody to tackle.
The chum was in the water, and it's just like, oh man,
yeah, pretty funny.
Oh no,
totally, man. It's patriotism. You know, the egg from which wars are hatched. You know, it's basically like patriotism, like, or nationalism. To me, it's like here, defy logic and just support whatever your government does. It's like, you know, that's really the patriotic nationalistic message. It's, you know, fuck logic, just be a patriot. You know, it doesn't make sense to me. It's just really fucking dumb.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So then we just had the Daily Liberator premiere this week, or was it? It was January 26th. And so far we've done really fucking awesome. So I just wanted to, you know, plug the website for everybody. Come check us out. You know, we've got about a dozen new articles going up every day. And, you know, we're just trying to be your source for liberty-related news. And so far we've been getting a ton more traffic. And it seems like it's working out well. And the name change, I think, for the website, I think is only going to help us. You know, we can only do better with it. So, make sure to come, stop by, visit the site, and, you know, maybe comment on some articles, share them with your friends. So, you know, until next time, live free.
So to the gods and the death machine, you can't justify killing by economic gain. For God, country, and democracy, you can put freedom and gunpoint in a foreign land. You support the troops, then bring them home. I believe that you will do the best for you, and I believe that we have the power, I hate the state, and I know I'm a slave. We can make the break the power. Society owes individuals nothing more than non-interference with natural rights. What's a virtuous person fully comprehends the non-aggression principle, the violence of the state becomes obsolete.